Hi guys, welcome back to the garden and to the channel. Today we're just going to have a quick look at the idea of overwintering, when you should start having a look at overwintering certain plants, if you do need to overwinter any at all. So of course, thanks for joining us on this one. If you haven't subscribed yet, certainly feel free to do so. Quite a lot of content coming out soon, and a few more updates on some of our new projects. Going into the overwintering. Most recently in the UK, we have had a kind of dip of overnight temperatures, with some areas due to experience possibly even a mild frost over the next couple days. Now, when it comes to overwintering, now one thing in regard to planting your garden, so I've planted with the idea of hopefully not having much winter care to provide my plants. So I've gone for a lot of evergreen and ground hardy plants, again, just to make my job a bit easier when it comes down to overwintering. Now, of course, thinking about the kind of cooler dips in the weather, possibly coming towards the end of our kind of summer months now and coming into the autumn. So when would you kind of think about overwintering certain plants? Now, it does very much depend on the type of plants you grow. While some will need to be sort of kept in a greenhouse over winter, this sort of thing, certainly worth investigating before you buy to know how you're going to take care of the plant in the long term. But so as we have seen recently, the overnights dip a fair bit. As gardeners, some of us may scramble to go get our fleece and start wrapping things, just to provide that little bit of protection for the early frosts. Now, in some respects, of course, your own garden will be different from others, so you do have to kind of watch your local temperatures. Something when it comes to this end of the year, I do start paying attention to the weather quite a bit more. Now, in regard to overwintering plants, when should you think about doing this? Now, really, with plants, they really don't want to be wrapped up or anything like that. So the least amount of time you can wrap the plant, the better for the plant and plant's health. So for myself, a lot of these plants are a lot hardier than you think and don't actually require sort of any type of protection in our winters. So just something to bear in mind when you are choosing them. Now, thinking of things like your palm trees, for most of the standard ones we grow here in the UK, guys, these will need absolutely no protection at all. And adding some sort of protection could actually damage and hurt the plant. So, wrapping and doing things for too long could really affect the plant with moisture and things like that. So just having a look at some of the plants that I do offer protection for in the winter. For example, here we've got the Moose of Bengal tiger. Also behind that, we've got the Dicksonia tree fern. Now, between these two plants, both being sort of semi-hardy, these will need the protection in the coldest of times. With the Sycamensis, I will let this sort of drop its leaves and look to wrap the trunk once we do have that first sort of hard frost that knocks a lot of things back. Only at this point will I look to make any sort of cover on these. Now, panning over here, guys, to our big beet leaf border, you can see most of the large stuff you can see are the big leaves will need some sort of winter protection when we do get to that. Now, typically for myself, I really won't consider winter protection until we get towards sort of the end of November, unless we have a very cold spell before then. So with that said, guys, when it comes to overwintering certain plants, things like the Musabastu cold hardy banana here, what I will do is wait for that very first frost that really knocks back all the leaves. I'll then go through, remove the leaves, build a cage around it, stuff that with straw, and then put a sort of waterproof layering over the top of that, just to keep it as dry as possible for when it gets cold. Now, again, I will try to keep these wrapped the least amount of time, really just to help protect the plant. With that said, something like the Onset Morelli here, now this one is even less hardy and will be inside and dry stored over the winter. Again, I'll be waiting till the end of the year, last possible moment, to really get these in. With these, when I dry store them, I will cut off all the leaves, dig it out and get all the soil and really trim the roots back, let that to dry upside down outside for nearly a week to get all the residual moisture out of these, and then I will whack it in a cupboard under the stairs in a pot with no soil or anything, and just let it sit there until it's time to come out again. Following around here, guys, Again, so I guess just very briefly on this one, it's just to say that you know, even though we may be starting to get some of the colder nights and things like that, unless we really have long prolonged periods of cold, I would really kind of hesitate against getting things wrapped and covered too early. When it comes to like your ones that will be like house plants that you bring in and out for the winter, if you do have any of those, of course, once we do kind of get to that point where the nighttime temperatures are quite a bit below sort of 5 degrees C, or you know, even down to the kind of 10 degrees C daytime, you may think of starting to get these in, as you may see them start to deteriorate. But of course, just keep an eye on your plants, keep an eye on the weather, and certainly one thing is don't protect anything unless you need to. We have just recently put out a video, guys, on the planting of this new Trachycarpus palm, so certainly go check that out if you haven't yet. And following from that, of course, subscribe, follow along, lots more to come, and thank you for watching. See you on the next one.